Welcome back. It's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review. Today from Hasbro in their Marvel Legends series, we are featuring Marvel 80 Years, the Uncanny X-Men X-Force, Deadpool action figure. Okay, so this is a much older action figure from 7 years ago. This came out way back in 2018. Very interesting. This came in a protective cardboard packaging. We have some beautiful artwork of Deadpool right there. On the back, it's just the back of the character. And let's take this out. So this came out, like I said, 7 years ago. I got this recently at one of my local collectible toy stores. I didn't get it when it first came out, mostly because I already have a lot of Deadpool figures in my collection. But my local comic book or my local collectible toy store had this for a very, very fair price, and I just couldn't say no to it. Beautiful looking action figure. The card backing is awesome. It's a real throwback to the old Toy Biz action figures of the late 90s and early 2000s. The one thing I like about Hasbro's Marvel Legends figures that are put on the retro card, I always kind of feel like they put a little bit more care and attention to detail on the action figures and also the accessories. For example, here with the accessories, we're getting some actual paint application as opposed to them just being, this plain black plastic. You can see the red detailing on this one here, and the handles painted on this one. The color scheme for Deadpool, it's very, traditional. This is what he looks like in the comic books. But as opposed to the other figures in the past that we've gotten where the black elements on his costume are just pure black, in this case, the black elements are almost like a near metallic, very, very dark or navy blue. You can see that around his eyes, on the shoulders, chest, and on the legs. We have the colored version of the artwork right here that we saw earlier. Marvel celebrating 80 years. So this was to coincide with Marvel's 80th anniversary 7 years ago. And on the back, this is also a throwback to the old Toy Biz action figures with a package design. A lot of cool stuff going on here. And then here were some of the other action figures that were retro carded during this time period. There was the white costume Storm, but there was also a black costume variant. You can see the Dazzler, I think Iceman, and then the Madripoor Wolverine in the back. Excuse me. Alright, so it kind of pains me to do this, but let's take this guy out. Alright, so we have the retro carded Marvel 80th anniversary Deadpool action figure, and it looks great. Let's remove all the accessories first. Alright, so I could really appreciate the extra care and detail that goes into these accessories. Excuse me. We've gotten these accessories before with other action figures. These are much more realistic in design. You'll notice, like I pointed out, the additional paint application. It really feels like you're getting a little bit something extra with this. And it's nice, too, that this is colored in Deadpool's signature colors. So getting a handful of accessories, that's always a good thing. And again, here's the other one with a painted handle. And that brings us to Deadpool, the Merc with a Mouth. Good old Wade Wilson. Keep in mind this is an older action figure. It's just making reuse of one of the previous Deadpools. The presentation is gorgeous. This looks amazing. Much like the other accessories, you'll notice on the swords, the painted handles. Little things like that could just really elevate, the presentation of a figure. He has the pouches on the legs, and if I remember correctly, I think are these glued? These might be glued or pegged on, which is nice because it's not necessarily with Deadpool, but with some other figures, for example, the Marvel Legends Cyclops, he has those straps around his legs that just keep on floating around, that they're not permanently affixed to the figure. In this case, they're holding steady, so you don't have to worry about them, dropping off. The figure stands in at about a little under 6.5 inches. Here it is next to a somewhat more modern Hasbro Marvel Legends figure. This is the X-Men character Vulcan from maybe 2 years ago. The one thing you'll notice with the newer modern figures is that they feature pinless elbows and knees on most of the figures. It makes the figure look a little bit more cleaner, a little bit more streamlined. You'll notice a difference in the style of the ab crunch as well. In terms of Deadpool's articulation, his head looks left and right, looks up and down, but not too much. His head seems to the back of his head collides with his neck, so it kind of limits his movement looking up. He has articulation at the arms. They go up and down, they go outward. There's a butterfly joint on his chest. And with the older figures, sometimes the butterfly joints, they're not the easiest things to move. Thankfully, on this one, they do. Right, so that's good. And these butterfly joints are nice because, as you can see, a much more extended range of movement for his arms to fold back. So if you want to create poses where he's swinging his swords or leaping from a building, you could go for it. Likewise, his arms can fold forward. He has a bicep swivel, double pinned elbows, articulated wrists. The ab crunch is cleverly hidden underneath, or cleverly hidden within his costume, and also cut between the muscles, so he could crunch forward and arch back. The belt's riding a little bit high on this figure. As you can see, it kind of goes a little bit above his waist, which is alright. It at least allows for clear swivel movement. Legs kick upward. You'll notice the thigh cut right there. They swivel. Double jointed knees, articulated ankles, and then there's also a cut toward the upper calf muscle. So yeah, overall a great figure. If I have any complaints about it, I kind of wish to at least include maybe a holster for the smaller pistol. It'd be nice if he could store this onto his body. But otherwise, this is a near perfect Deadpool. The engineering isn't up to today's standards in terms of Marvel Legends. Especially with that Vulcan figure where it's a little bit more cleaner. But if you really want a nice version of Deadpool, this might be the way to go. I've seen this on Amazon. I'm not sure what the prices are now, but I remember for a while it was marked, roughly about the same price as a normal Marvel Legends, but this was a year ago. The prices might have increased since then, but this is really a nice figure to add to your collection. Especially if you're a fan of Deadpool. It's a nice, this plain, iconic, evergreen, iconic. It's just a good, iconic, evergreen look if you're very fond of the comic book interpretation of the character. All right, so with that being said, let's wrap this one up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer or subscriber, thank you so much for continued support. I greatly appreciate it. So until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. All right, later.